Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking some time out of your afternoon or morning, whatever the case may be, wherever you may be, to join us on this wonderful webinar with Nicole Kernohan. Nicole is Chief Operating Officer for Elevated Worldwide, one of the top personal development and personal training organizations in the country, if not the world. She got her experience working for Bob Proctor in the Gallagher organization. Many people know Bob Proctor from The Secret and his immense, all his writings and his immense skill in training people for success and how to think about themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Nicole Kernohan.
Well, thank you. What a warm welcome. I definitely appreciate that, Jim. Jim and I've worked together now. It's been a few years, I think, about 3 or so years now. And I think he is one of the most committed students in the personal and professional development industry that I have ever experienced, and really taking to heart what we're going to talk about today and applying it and intentionally being an intentional student, not just taking this for the sake of it, but actually really taking it in to be able to implement it into your life, Jim. So thank you for the introduction. All right, so we'll be probably 20-30 minutes. We're just going to go through some key concepts here. We've called it secure while scaling, quiet psychology moves that let your money work for you. We're talking about the mindset, the way you think, and how it influences all areas of your life, and specifically your financial financial aspect of your life. So grow your income and impact in a grounded, sustainable way by making small but powerful mindset shifts that ripple into every area of your life. Awesome. Let's go to the next. Is your perspective blocking your wealth? I originally had this actually called Are Your Words Blocking Your Wealth? Your words are a reflection of your perspective, the way you see things. Most high performing adults silently stress about money. Even if things look good on the outside, the belief of I don't have enough becomes an invisible tax on your income, time, energy, and joy, which we will talk about as we go into this today. And it's time to swap scarcity lens for abundance optics. Jim, I'm curious for you, in your experience, like in working in business, in building businesses, like how much this lens, right? If you see the world and see yourself as not enough, how much does that influence, have you seen that influence yourself and others in their ability to build their business?
It has been an enormous revelation to me once I started understanding words, how words affect both our conscious and our subconscious. And I uh, I studied what we say when we talk to ourselves, and if we tell ourselves that we're not enough, if we tell ourselves that we don't have the ability to invest properly, it will in fact, that's a great word. I was going to say affect, but it will actually infect the way we believe in ourselves, way we believe in the people around us, and the way we approach and evaluate um, investments, money, the way we treat money, the whole aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was something I had to learn about me being enough and about the difference between lack and abundance, and living in abundance and living in lack have two completely different profound effects on your life. Back to you, Nicole.
Absolutely. Right. We're going to go through that. It's really fascinating because in some cases, if you're not, if you haven't, if someone who's watching this and watching later hasn't really dove into psychology of how you think and how the way you see the world, it's hard to really give credit to how much your thoughts affect your actions and your decisions with investments, your decisions with your business, your decisions with what you spend money on or don't spend money on, it all comes down to, at the root, the lens with which you view the world and yourself and your potential. So let's go to the next one. I think this is our introduction, which we did briefly introduce ourselves, but I'll just read it up real quickly. Myself, positive psychology coach, CEO of Elevated Worldwide, our coaching organization. And I help high performers rewire subconscious patterns to scale with joy, purpose, and freedom. And James Blakemore, although I always call you Jim, legacy focused investor, founder of Iron Mountain Capital Group, curating risk mitigated medium return investments for non real estate professionals. And I love this shared mission, right? Family first, wealth without overwhelm. Wanting to make sure that we are creating, we are helping you to create this ongoing generational wealth without sacrificing your values, or leading into overwhelm or burnout. So the next one is where we kind of touch on this bottleneck. We kind of alluded to a little bit here, but I really want to emphasize skills and effort don't equal results when your inner narrative filters everything through lack. A lot of us have grown up to believe that hard work, I just got to work harder. We're starting to see a shift in that belief, but it is still something that gets passed down from generation to generation to say hard work, deliver equal, and skills, right? I have to work hard and I need to get the right skills. And as long as I have those two things, I'm guaranteed to success. Guaranteed. And if for those who are listening to this have been around long enough, we know from experience that that is not true, because two people can have the same skills and put in the same amount of outward effort and get completely different results. One can excel and be extremely effective and successful, and another could be stuck, even if they're working equally hard and have the same education and background experience, even in the same market. So it really boils down to the inner narrative. If you're filtering things through a lens of feeling like you're not enough, or that there isn't enough, or that people wouldn't probably want to buy this from me, right? What are the thoughts that you have that are influencing your actions? Scarcity lens triggers hesitation, missed opportunities, and eventually burnout. If you say to yourself, I'm not as good at, or you're comparing yourself to another person in the same industry or in the same business, and you're feeling like, or there's too much competition. How can I possibly stand out? If those are the types of thoughts, then when an opportunity comes, you either won't see it, or likely are not going to be willing to take advantage of that opportunity. Right? Jim, I'm curious for you, right? Just even in your own experience, like how much, as you've shifted your lens, as you've really shifted into this abundance mindset of seeing that there is enough and I am enough, and it's an intentional process. We don't just arrive, it's an intentional process, but how it allows you to take action differently on opportunities for
Absolutely,
your own
and
businesses.
it was it was a significant switch in perspective to me. It was the main perspective switch was from, you know, when thinking from lack, you don't want to take risks. The ability to evaluate prospective investments, projects, that sort of thing. If you evaluate them from a perspective of lack or not being enough, you have an inborn bias against taking a risk. If you know that you're enough, if you know that you have plenty, if you understand the belief in abundance, that there's always enough. We live in an abundant world where we have an abundance of air, water, riches, the whole thing. Your inclination to take more of a risk, or to just believe that the project, investment, whatever that you're about to embark on, will turn out for the best. Back
Hmm.
to you.
And when you know that, and you're willing to take those risks, and when you're truly living from a space of seeing this lens, where we keep using the word lens, that's the word we're going to refer to a lot right today's, when you truly have a lens of abundance, even when something doesn't go as you expected in a business opportunity or a partnership or an investment, you can still choose to say, okay, what did I learn from that? How can I shift and pivot and do it differently and get better? How can you, it allows you to get back up faster and more confidently and continue to move forward rather than having a seeming failure hold you down and not be able to get back up. I love this last bullet point here. I'll just mention quickly. It says, when your lens is scarcity, even safe opportunities or potential assets feel risky, keeping you stuck instead of moving forward, right? And that's like, even when, someone else may be able to say, though, this is a pretty safe asset or pretty safe investment opportunity, if you are truly seeing things through a lens of lack, it'll feel risky. And because there's a fear that if it doesn't work out, and we also would call it worst case scenario, right? If you are in a lens of lack, you're often focused on the worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen instead of the best case scenario? What is the best thing that could happen? Were you going to add a thought there, Jim? Or nope, all good. All right, let's go on. I've got a few details here. So, how your brain works. Some of those who will be watching this or who are watching this who have seen Elevated Worldwide before or seen me share may have seen this statistic, but your brain, they say 93 to 97%, so we round up to 95% of your results, actions, and beliefs are driven by your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind. So we have these two parts. I'm not going to go through the entire explanation, but you have your conscious mind, which is where your five senses come in. You see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, and it allows you to, it's kind of allows you to live in this world. And then you have your subconscious mind, which is this deeper part of you. That's where your self image is, your beliefs, your feelings, your habits. It's this deeper part of you. And 95% of your results, actions and beliefs. But really, at the end of the day, in this conversation, it's you wanting to know where do your results come from. 95% comes from this subconscious part of you. And that's why when we go back to that last spot, two people can have the same education, the same experience, putting in the same amount of effort. One can get incredible results and another one stays completely stuck. It's because it's not their actions that are delivering results. It's the feeling, the belief, the subconscious part. It's the energy with which you act that delivers your results. So we got to know this to be able to understand why it's so important that you influence your subconscious mind, because it's also freeing to really understand and know this. I want to share this one other quote because it helps us to kind of understand where a lot of our I can't belief comes from, or where a lot of the lack mindset comes from. This is just one statistic, but it's an example of the programming that most of us unintentionally were raised in. By the time a child is 17 years old, they've heard the words, no, you can't, an average of 150,000 times, and the words, yes, you can, an average of 5,000 times. And that's 30 no's for every one yes. When I first heard that statistic, it hurt my heart a little bit. And it's just allowing us to understand, okay, I've heard, no, you can't, 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 no, you can't. Yes, you can. No, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. The repetition of hearing, no, you can't, particularly when you're a child, when your subconscious is wide open, trains you to live in the lens or the perspective of lack, of a bit more fear, of a bit more hesitation, of a bit more worry. So if we know this, we just go into the world knowing my tendency is probably going to be swayed towards lack. My lens is probably, if I'm not conscious or intentional, swayed towards I shouldn't, or it could be risky, or I might get hurt. So if we know that, now you can at least say, oh, to choose to look at life through a different lens. But it has to be an intentional choice because the subconscious programming is primarily led to the lack side. And I put a little comment here in the top right there that just says repetition creates or rewires default patterns. So if you're not intentional and you just allow the same habit of thought to keep coming and the same habit of action to keep coming, you're going to keep repeating the same results, right? You can't expect to get a different result by continuously doing the same things. And repetition of a new thought pattern or a new habit can create a different default pattern. So you have the ability to rewire your subconscious mind, which is exciting. So let's jump over to the next one. So I want to just briefly share. These are four concepts that we go through. I go through a lot with myself, with my clients, and we do through Elevated Worldwide. And Jim knows all this stuff, but just really understanding these kind of stages of helping you shift from lack to abundance. So how can you shift your lens of how you see things? The first step is so simple yet so profound. We've all heard it. It is to shift into the state of gratitude. When you are truly on the frequency, so I'll say the frequency, not just thinking thankfulness, but when you are truly being grateful, which means it's in your subconscious, you feel it, you're truly living from a state of gratitude, you are training your brain to see enough, because you will literally be focused on all of the enough that is currently in your experience. So that is the first step, right? The first step is to actually change, to start by shifting your lens and leveraging. We do a pattern, a process pattern to shift that lens, but this is the first step, is to actually get your self into a state of gratitude. Then knowing your why, knowing your purpose. Why does wealth matter to you? In Napoleon Hill's book, he says, you cannot achieve great riches until you cultivate a burning desire for wealth and a belief that it's going to happen, a belief that it's possible. Well, how can you create a burning desire for money? That just sounds wrong, right? I don't believe that, but many of us have been raised in a place where, like, ooh, I shouldn't want too much money, right? There's a lot of negative money beliefs and money thoughts around it. So understanding why wealth matters to you, what can you do with that abundance for yourself, for others? What does it actually mean, so that you can get to a place where you know why it matters to you, and you also know your values. You know what you're not willing to compromise on in the pursuit of wealth. And then vision is having a specific goal. I'm going to share a statistic on that in a second. Just having a specific, inspiring financial vision and picture it clearly. If you have a desire to create more abundance financially, you have to have a specific financial vision. Have an image that is actually, that you're not shy to talk about, with at least with yourself. You have to admit that, to commit that to yourself, and then take actions towards it. And then words is one of my most passionate concepts, which is speak the identity you're becoming. I use progressive affirmations. We might touch on that in a second, but it's using affirmations in a progressive way to help close your belief gaps. The words you speak are either making or breaking what you're trying to create. We could talk about words for a whole half hour just on our own. But I'm going to bring it to you, Jim, because I know I just spent a little moment here, and you've gone through these concepts. You know, you've gone through the gratitude concept. You have your clearly defined purpose. You have your vision, as do I. And you know the power of words. But I'm curious how meaningful kind of having this clarity is in your pursuit to any type of abundance.
Nicole, as you know, I've been a student of personal development and involved in both personal development learning on my part and teaching it for others. And I was I was surprised. I was astonished when I became associated with Elevated Worldwide on the importance of gratitude and the place that, or the piece that gratitude plays in having a mindset of abundance and wealth. And it was a serious amount of work for me to make the shift from what I thought was abundance and was actually a mentality of lack into an abundance mentality using gratitude. And then from there, using the processes to understand my purpose and vision and creating my vision and then using my words to to accentuate and to vocalize and to put into action or put into perspective the whole process of being grateful, having a purpose, creating a vision, and then executing on that vision by using the words. Back to you, Nicole.
I think it's really awesome also, Jim, for those who do know you, or if they meet you, out in the world or in the business world, or you attend many business events and networking events and trainings, and you're really successful. And I think it's really powerful, and you're growing, like, right? You're successful in the eyes of many. And I know your vision is even more, because that's why you're here. And it's really powerful for people to see that those who are really moving and shaking in the world, in business, in life, and are studying, are doing this stuff, are intentional. There are some unconscious competents who got there and maybe are doing these things and didn't realize they were doing it and couldn't even articulate it. You are very intentional, and you're able to articulate it, and you're not afraid to say, like, I study every single day. I study myself. I say my purpose statement. I write it out. I say my vision and I write it out, and I'm intentional with my words. And I just want to acknowledge that. And I think it's powerful for folks to hear that you are really intentional with, you didn't arrive to your current level of success by accident, and you're not going to arrive to your next vision by accident. It's
Oh,
very intentional.
and let me just say this that um, I I one of my mentors is a gentleman he's passed now named Jim Rohn. And one of the things that Jim Rohn constantly spoke about was being a student, always being a student. And that's one of the philosophies that I have adopted as as from Jim Rohn, just always studying, always learning, always becoming better. And then from Tony Robbins, his philosophy of constant and never-ending improvement. And
Hmm.
there's a saying that a friend of mine uses: you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. So I'm trying to stay in the green and growing stage forever.
Awesome. And it's also a perspective to know that you don't arrive. You don't arrive at your goal. You don't arrive at, I've learned everything I ever need to know about myself in business or in personal or in professional development. Just to know that the fun, and Bob Proctor would always say, the fun is figuring out how you're going to get to the next goal. And I always think of that. The fun is in the learning, is in the process, is in the growing, and in who you become along the way. So let's pop over to the next one. And that'll be great. So the elevated wealth lens, and I'll just go through this quickly, but this is important, and I hope for those who are watching this, and if they're not part of the process, that you can take this with you because this is important. I call it the daily 20. You could also do it in 10. And when I say 20, I mean 20 minutes. You could do it in 10 minutes on the bottom end. You could, I suggest 20 minutes, but also don't not do it if you think I only have 10 minutes today. So these are the steps that we use to rewire the subconscious mind. There's others, but these are some of the key ones. 3 to 7 minutes a day, short mindset audios. I recommend listening to the same one, right? In our processes, we listen to the same one for 7 days in a row. 3 to 7 minutes a day. You can do that. You can pop it in the car while you're driving. You can listen to it while you're getting ready, but be intentional with what you're listening to. What are you putting in your ears? It is influencing how you feel, which influences how you show up and the results you get in your life. Right, for 3 to 5 minutes a day. I often can do this even in less time than that. 3 gratitudes. And like how we're calling it evidence of abundance. You need to prove to yourself, oh my goodness, wow, I do have clean drinking water. And millions of people in the world don't have that, right? I do have, it's a beautiful day. And like, I loved the clouds. And just even it can be close, important things like people in your life and family. And it can be as simple as clean drinking water. But being intentional with actually physically writing, it changes your neural pathways. Speaking out loud, what words are you using? Speak your purpose to yourself and others, but this experience is intended for yourself. Speaking your purpose and vision, and hearing your own voice, sharing what you are, who you are, and where you're going, and reading 3 to 5 minutes a day, gratitude or wealth building mindset messages. We do have a process in Elevated that gives you all of these things. So, but this is that's besides the point. I want you to be able to even take this for those who are watching to just know like this is the process we use that specifically through repetition with emotion rewires your subconscious mind. And when you rewire your subconscious mind, you're influencing the part of you, the 95% part of you that is creating your results. If you want to change your results, you don't want to change your conscious mind. If you want to change your results, you have to change your subconscious mind. And so this is our repetition process. So and it's small daily steps, right? Small daily reps, I even call it here, but it is small daily things. It's easy to do. It's also very easy not to do. Let's pop over to the next one. I wanted to share this example. This is Allie. We'll see whoever ends up watching this, if you know Allie. She's in the middle. She's a client of ours, and she started, it was a few years ago, so it's been a while. But she used words against her. So if you're listening, think to yourself, do you use words to reinforce a limiting belief, to reinforce a belief of I don't have enough or I am not enough? She would use the words, I attract problems, I'm a storm magnet. I attract problems. I'm a storm magnet. Bad things happen to me. She'll even say it with a smile on her face, I just attract bad things. I just get, if one thing goes right, another thing's going to go wrong. I attract problems. But she lived in this cycle of fear and chaos. She couldn't see her way out. She couldn't see how she had a desire to start a business outside of her. She was a nurse, but she wanted to start a separate business and couldn't get it out of her head because she just thought bad things happen to me. It's not going to work out. I attract problems. By practicing gratitude and the elevated process and progressive affirmations, which I briefly referenced, we taught her to use the words up until now. Up until now, I seemed to have attracted problems, and today I am choosing wisely and courageously, and I'm right. So we use the process of repetition with gratitude, purpose, and vision, but we really focus on words to shift her lens. Up until now, in my experience, I've seen that challenges have come. I am choosing now to be wise and courageous, and I'm choosing to take action anyway. Her confidence grew. She started seeing possibilities instead of problems over the past 3 years. This was 3 years ago now, but her and her husband have started a business together. It's like a gun business. I don't know. I'm in Canada, so we don't have that. We don't have the same business that she has, but they've created a really successful business in her industry, and it is so inspiring. And she really recognizes how much the shift in her lens allowed her to take risks, allowed them to invest in this new business opportunity, right? And now she's happy and thriving. And if she hadn't, right, she feels like she would have just stayed there forever, wishing she could change, but not actually being willing to take the risk to make that investment to start that business because she wasn't able to believe in herself enough that it would actually be possible. So if that's you, you're like, ooh, I have a little fear, a little hesitation, I'm scared. Be willing to say, are you open to shifting your lens? You want to move to the next one? There's only a couple more left in this story. So the science behind the shift. I'm going to read these. I want to share just a few statistics just to remind you of how important what we're saying is today. Gratitude reduces financial stress. I don't know if this seems obvious because, like I said at the beginning, it's so simple, it can seem like it can't possibly get the credit it deserves. Gratitude doesn't get the credit it deserves. It reduces financial stress. In studies, people who practice gratitude reported lower perceived financial pressure and more life satisfaction even before income levels changed. And we would add that it will also lead to income levels changing because you've shifted your perspective, right? When you change your lens, you change how you act and how you show up, and that influences your outcomes. But it actually reduces your financial stress immediately, even before the external outcome changes. Scarcity, on the other hand, narrows focus and drains capacity. Behavioral science research shows that when the mind is focused on not enough, whether it's not enough time, money, or resources, it reduces decision-making capacity, leading to costly mistakes. And you probably have experienced this in your life. If you're in overwhelm or stress or fear, you are not able to think clearly and make effective decisions, right? Leading to costly mistakes. Number 3, when you write your goals down, when you physically write your goals down, write it down. Don't just think it. When you write your goals down, you have approximately 42% increased likelihood of achieving them. That is huge. Write your goals down. If you leave this webinar and the only thing you do is practice gratitude and write your goal down, you're going to be on your way. This applies to wealth building goals. It applies to any goals, but I know in this webinar we're touching on that. And then the last one, affirmations and visioning rewire your default. Neuroplasticity research shows that repeated focus on abundance creates new neural pathways, kind of like we touched on, right? On the repetition of shifting your lens through different methods, you're actually creating new neural pathways, which means you're building a new highway in your brain so that the automatic default now switches to abundance. Let's go to the next one there. So awesome. So that's what we got for you. It's like 4:02 Eastern, 3:02 Central, 2:02 Mountain. Got through this in really good time. But I do want to share that on Thursday we are having a Q&A. If you want to pop back, same time. We're gonna wonder
Same
if you
time,
have some
same channel,
questions.
same bat channel. We're
Same
gonna
bat
be here.
channel, same bat time.
Yeah,
If you're wondering if
Thursday.
this really works, if you're not sure how 20 minutes a day can rewire your money lens, if you're curious how to apply gratitude, purpose, vision, and words in your business, we are going to be answering some questions and going a little bit deeper.
And these
Awesome.
will be live. We will be live. We can play Stump Nicole. And so
Mhm.
bring your questions on how this works. This is a phenomenal philosophy. It was really, I mean, when I first got involved in personal development, got involved with goal setting at first, and then self-talk, that sort of thing. And then with when I started working with Elevate, it was just it opened complete doors to me. These guys are experts. They know how to make this work for individuals. I invite you to come and give us your questions. The Nicole will be here, and we will be playing live. So, and then
Yep.
make
We
money with
got a giveaway.
tomorrow.
We got a free gift.
Yeah,
Download the Abundance Journal. And I don't know, actually, even we haven't
is
shared
that
this too often.
no? So that is there for you. And then
Yep, free gift.
yeah,
Keepelevate.com/web dash abundance journal. Or if you know me and you're listening to this, you can reach out and I can get you a copy of that. But
and
it's that journal actually is a 30-day journal. So it will actually ask you specific questions each day. And it is more geared towards financial abundance, but it's applicable to abundance in all areas of life. So it's a powerful way to kind of get yourself into this philosophy without all the steps.
perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is, wherever it is that you're watching this video. We appreciate your time. We appreciate Nicole. We appreciate you so much. You are such a wealth of knowledge and ability. You are such a wonderful guide, and I want to thank you so much for the impact that you've had on my life and helping me get my business started and making it a success. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. We're going to wrap this up. Like I said, come back Thursday afternoon, day after tomorrow, 2 o'clock, I mean, 2:30 Central Time, and we will answer your questions. Thank you very much, and bye bye for now.
Thanks so much. See you soon.